Well, like that?
Yeah.
And after a bit of teasing and a few helping hands, I had the makings of a framework.
It's a bit blunt.
But according to Jenga, my technique with the leaves left a lot to be desired.
If you keep the leaves tight, rain won't reach you.
Still, at least I was giving it a go.
Where are you sleeping tonight, Lou?
I don't know.
Good luck, mate.
That's what they asked me. I made the mistake of laughing at what you were doing, and then they said, well, where are you sleeping tonight?
Ah.
If I say so myself, I thought my hut compared pretty well to the rest of the camps. It was certainly going to be more comfortable than the unmarried men's lean-to, where Louis was going to have to sleep. The fetishers' spells had worked brilliantly so far, but they hadn't given me anything against insects, and hundreds of tiny, infuriating bees were having a banquet on the salts encrusted on my shirt and skin.
I was told about the sweat bees before I came out here, and they don't sting. So I thought, well, they can't be that much of a problem. But they're deeply annoying, and it will be interesting to find out how much energy you spend every time you do that, because it's absolutely constant all the time. And it just sort of wears me down.
Some of the men had gone out to hunt while the camp was being built, but had returned empty-handed, so supper was a meagre affair. Louis told me just to wait until tomorrow.
What's on the menu?
Well, blue duiker, certainly, and they say, you know, there's a good chance we get a red duiker, which is a much larger animal. It's good if we get, you know, one or two of those would suffice for the whole camp.
Well, I'd be quite pleased to start, actually, get away from these sweat bees.
You don't want to be around the hunting camp in the daytime, because you get, you know, filaria flies and sweat bees, and you've got to be on the move in the forest to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Cleansed, the Bayaka turned their attention to hunting. We moved for an hour through the forest and stopped at a point which they thought looked promising. Then they set up the nets. The men lay them out and the women prop them up, pin them down, and generally make everything shipshape. The idea is to make a huge circle 250 meters across, with a small opening. The men will enter the circle and beat the game towards the nets. But since I couldn't see more than 20 meters in any direction, how they managed to make the ends meet, I don't know.
They set up their nets, it's like according to family groups.
Oh.
People set up their nets next to other people that they're related to through marriage or something else.
Right. And which way are they going to drive the animals? This way?
They're making the circle like this. So they're going to go inside and then drive them out here. If we're lucky, one will come out over here.
The hunt itself sounded better than it looked. According to Louis, each hoot or yelp meant something. The beaters were perfectly coordinated.
What do we do if we see an animal?
Well, if we see an animal, just jump on it as fast as you can.
If a beater spots an animal, he shouts to the rest of the group, telling them what the animal is and what direction it's headed. Louis and I stayed outside the circle, salivating.
They've spotted a blue duiker. They've spotted a blue duiker. They're arguing about whether it got out of the circle of nets or not. Sounds like they think it got away.
You don't win every time, then?
No, you don't.
As the day wore on, the equation between kilometers covered and food procured was tipping startlingly towards weight loss.
It's just walk, walk, walk. and even when you stop to wait by the nets, there's nowhere to sit. I've been told if I sit on the ground, then there are worms that go into your backside, so I'll try to avoid that. So I'm feeling hungry, but I don't know, no one else seems to be too worried about it. I suppose it's just the way it is. Sometimes you catch things, sometimes you don't.
Porcupine got away.
Porcupine.
Dang. They're blaming one of the hunters. Good eating, too bad.
Still meatless that night, we had another vegetarian supper of manioc flour formed into cobs and roasted on the fire.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Yes, that's about it. Let's hope they catch something in the hunt tomorrow.
Almost entirely tasteless, it was at least temporary relief for our empty stomachs. The pygmy's average height is about 4'7½". Some people think this is because there is an evolutionary advantage in being small in the jungle. Others that it's just the result of food deprivation over millennia. The last 48 hours were pushing me to side with the deprivationists.
Dudaiko. Uwa is Dudaiko. They're calling out people's names, so...
The third day started out with high levels of enthusiasm all round.
It's day 3 and the hunters still haven't caught anything, which isn't the way it's supposed to be. And all I've eaten so far is manioc. I'm starting to feel worried, certainly disappointed, because I came here expecting to pig out on meat all the time, but it's not as easy to catch as you might think.
Day 4 wasn't any better. After covering God knows how many kilometres to no avail, I suspected that team morale was beginning to wane. Cricket's highest score of 11 days without seeing any animals was coming back to haunt me. Again, we returned empty-handed, and sometime that evening, I cracked.
I've got a confession to make. I brought a tin of sardines with me. I know Louis said leave everything behind, but I thought one tin wouldn't hurt, be a nice little treat. And I was a few feet away from my shelter in the forest, seemingly all on my own, scoffing them, and a bayaka walked by and caught me red-handed. Now they're saying that the smell of the sardines has driven the animals away from this area, and that's why they haven't been able to catch anything. So I'm feeling pretty bad, because it's one thing being hungry myself, but I'm also now responsible for everyone else's hunger.
I solemnly burnt my empty tin of sardines to try and rid the forest of its oily, fishy smell. But it was not just the humidity that was weighing down the atmosphere in camp at breakfast. Louis was putting a brave face on it.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Louis. It was a stupid thing to do.
Well, you know, you don't know the forest, and you don't know what you're supposed to do in the forest, so you're learning, you know. And they see, you know, you've made a house and everything. That's more than I've done. That's impressed them, and you know, I'm not contributing that much.
The hunters decided that I'd best spend the day away from the nets, foraging with Bumbu, Dokuli and the other women. It was billed as an opportunity to see the vegetable bounty of the forest, but it felt like punishment. Our first stop was the mighty payu tree. Surrounding its enormous trunk, masses of nuts littered the forest floor.
What are they, Louis?
It's called payu. It drops these. This is what they're after. And they split it open and they take out the center. You wouldn't think just seeing it on the ground that it's something edible.
No. Tasty?
Very tasty. I love it. It's my favorite sauce.
Is it?
When I make sauce with it for meat, it's my favorite thing. I eat it every day.
A few minutes collecting the nuts was followed by a good half hour opening them up. The kernels were wafer thin, making the whole process, especially in my hands, an energy-negative activity. But I suppose for a tasty sauce, you should go that extra mile.
What is it? This is cocoa. It's the edible leaf. It's about the only leaf that they eat in the forest.
Really, the only one?
The only one. Huh. There's some stuff on the edge of the forest that they eat, but this is the only leaf from the deep forest that they eat.
Nice little bundle of it.
It's an extraordinary paradox that this lowland Congo forest, second only to the Amazon in biodiversity, contains only one leaf the bayaka will eat. That so many of the others are toxic is thought to be a defense against relentless insect attack.
These people only eat one type of leaf, which is extraordinary, but it's the case, and I couldn't distinguish the leaf of the vine from the leaf of the tree. I mean, there are lots of usable things in this forest. Identification is the key, and if you don't have the knowledge, well, it's potentially very dangerous as well.
Gosh.
That's not it.
Oh, that's not it.
That's just a root from some tree.
I'd have cut that up.
Bumbu looked at me pityingly as I expressed disbelief at their knowledge, but at least I wasn't alone.
Even with all my years living with them, I just still can't recognize these.
I'm glad you said that, though, because I was feeling horribly.
I mean, I could lie down and starve to death with
right
these,
next
with
to
these
us,
sort
yeah.
of right next to me.
Yeah.
It's a bountiful forest, but without knowledge, it's nothing. You know, talking to Louis, the guy's been here for 17 years, and he doesn't think he could survive. So what chance do I have?
We'd had a productive day, and I was chipper when we got back to camp, and even dared hope that without me, the hunters may have been successful.
Yamote.
Oh.
Yakutute. Yamote.
There's only nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. They only saw one animal in the afternoon that got away.
Gosh, after all day.
Yeah.
That's not so good, is it?
I don't know what happened that night, but when we woke up the following morning for the 6th day's hunting, despite everyone's hunger, there was a different mood in the camp.
And what about the sardine effect? Could you ask if it's sort of gone completely now?
Eso. Bayang bon sardine. Est-ce que ba sardine va buta bokelo body?
No. Sardine ang budaka bukia saka boy.
What was that?
He said no. That effect is finished because for a while you haven't eaten sardines, so it should be all right.
Good. Very good.
The bayaka were obviously as delighted as me that I was clean. But their reaction made me feel even more guilty on the trek out to that day's hunting grounds.